So I'm sitting outside in the nice, beautiful, cool San Diego evening, having my dinner and a little bit of wine, watching my own video, which I sometimes like to watch about the dating apps, which I will link up above. And I realized I made a huge mistake when I referred to many men as vagina hunters. I made a huge mistake, you guys, because I forgot to tell you that some of these old fogies have lost their libido and they want no sex at all. This is the problem with these older guys that lost their interest in sex. And why is this a problem? The moment a man loses interest in sex, he is no longer willing to leave the house and meet a woman on a date. And when I said that many people don't want to meet for a date in that last video, I'm speaking of men over 60. Okay, and this is just based on my own experience and that of a friend that I have who's currently on a dating app trying to meet men. She's a very attractive, successful woman in her mid 50s, I would say, late 50s. And she's considering men all the way into their early 70s. And the problem with these guys is they have lost their libido or they have erectile dysfunction and they cannot perform or they will not perform and they do not care about fucking, because the moment a man loses interest in fucking, he stops leaving the house or pursuing women. Except these young guys. These young guys will just watch porn, okay? They still want to fuck. They have a libido. If they don't want to leave the house and they check out of society, this is a danger for young guys. This is a big problem for young men. I will address that in this video also. These young men who still have a libido but don't have social skills will not leave the house. And these old men who have no libido will not leave the house, because it's a man's libido that spurs him to overcome all of the social anxiety and the whatever's required to pursue a woman. And it's a woman's interest really in connection. It's like it's once women lose their libido, they no longer want to date either. Older women who have lost their libido, they don't want to date. They'll be happy with their friends. They'll still go to dinner with their male friends or the occasional theater, especially these older people who are well-to-do that have like big social circles. They'll still do those things, but once a person loses interest in sex, they no longer want a relationship. They're done. And I think some of these older guys are on the dating apps for, if something happens to come along. I'm not really sure, because these older guys are not vagina hunters, they're vagina avoiders. And this is why I think they don't want to meet, or why they are reluctant to meet. They would rather just travel or hang out with their brother or their friends or their buddies or go skiing or hang out with their kids. You would not believe all the excuses that my friend gets. She's a very hot, fit woman, extreme, financially independent actually, but very outgoing and social. I should spend more time with her. She seems like a super fun person, and she's trying to date, and all these guys are just, and she will like approach men on the dating app. I think she's on Match, which is a good dating app, you would think. And so she meets these guys and they're fit and so on, and they'll do the video calls and the phone calls or maybe meet for coffee. But something always goes awry, and I think it's their lack of interest in sex. I think she's going too old. I'm trying to get her to go younger, because her age range is like 65 plus, and I'm trying to get her to go down into the 50s or the 40s. But some of those guys are just want to fuck her. They just want to fuck. They're vagina hunters, because when a lot of these younger guys, they like us older women for fucking. Okay, it's a real thing, the MILF thing, or they just think that we're fun to fuck, but they don't want to date us. So when you're a woman over 55 or over 60 in my case, who still likes sex, who wants to date, we have a real dilemma. Because the young guys just want to fuck us. And believe me, it's good fucking. I'm not gonna lie. I not gonna lie. Guys in their 50s, 40s, and 30s are the perfect. Oh, they're so passionate and so sensual, and they really know how to enjoy me, and I like them I like them to kiss me and look at me, and they're just, once guys get over 65, they're very preoccupied with their erections because, like I get preoccupied with, am I getting wet enough? It's just biology, okay? Can't help that. They get preoccupied with their erections. They're not as good at the fucking anymore. They're a little more guarded. They don't know what they're doing. The chances are, there's some guys that are older that are very good in bed. Don't get me wrong. There are guys into their 70s and 80s who still have a libido, but they're rare. This is my point. Those older guys can be good in bed and sensual, but they're more rare. And there's a higher likelihood that they've lost their libido or that they're preoccupied with their penis that doesn't get hard. And no guy wants to go on a date with a woman when his penis doesn't work. He can still jack off and come. He can still get an appointment with a happy ending or maybe see an escort and come. But usually they don't even have the libido for that. When I was a bookkeeper, or maybe I still am, I'm not saying. The men over 70 are extremely rare because they lost their libido, unfortunately, and that's a sign of poor health, okay? The guys that still had their libido, they were pretty active physically, I would say. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell you is, if you're a woman looking for men to date in their 60s and 70s, if they don't have a libido, I don't think they want to date. I think they just want to travel or spend time with their kids or hang out with their buddies or do their woodworking or their other hobbies. Their interest in sex is not that big. And even when they made appointments, they were very infrequent appointments. The younger guys are more horny. They will want more frequent appointments. But now with the younger guys, they want a lot more sex. So I think that we have to consider this. And so, okay, let me get back on topic. I'm just meandering all over the place. I think that the reason a lot of older men over 60 or just 65 on the dating apps don't want to meet is because they have either no libido or they're ashamed of their limp dicks. Because I wouldn't want to have sex with someone if my vagina was dry or if my dick was limp. I wouldn't want to. I would not feel comfortable. And that is the issue. That is the underlying issue. So if you're a woman who likes sex, you got to wonder, why don't these guys want to meet me? There's the occasional horn dog old guy who has no clue, who's like, oh, we're going on a date. Are you going to spend the night? You get that kind too. But I think a lot of them lost their libido. And especially if they're overweight. If an older guy has belly fat and he's got all that estrogen around him, forget it. I think it's done. The sex part. And if they don't want sex, they don't want to leave the house. Okay, the point I was trying to make also in this video, I'm rambling, is the libido spurs a man into action. The libido is his, oh, what do I want to say? Like, it just spurs him into action. It makes him want to go out. It makes him want to overcome obstacles, difficult obstacles. I'm worried about facing rejection, but I'm horny. I don't care. I have to pursue a woman. It's these strong drives that we have that make us pursue things like sleep. Sleep is another strong drive. But I'm going to go on a tangent on drives. So sleep is this natural drive, but it's an inward thing, right? where you're tired and you just drift inward and it feels so good and you just let go, especially if you allow yourself to drift off to sleep when you're actually really tired, like around 8:30 at night, and you're really tired and you just let go and you just drift off. You don't have to try to fall asleep, right? Because sometimes that's a struggle, like, oh, I got to go to sleep and I have all these thoughts. But when your body naturally wants to go to sleep and you just drift off and you go inside, that's a drive. Or when you're thirsty and your mouth is dry and you're like, I need water, and you go get water. Or you're hungry and the hunger propels you to get some food. Sex does the same thing. The desire for connection, the desire for sex. And the sex urge is very strong. Some of the urges are very strong. Or the urge to protect our young. Like we have these urges, right? Once these urges leave us, our behavior changes. Like look at people who take Ozempic. Now their hunger drive is gone. They don't want to eat. They don't care about eating. And people who lost their libido, because I've talked to men whose wives lost their libido. The wives don't want to fuck. They'll do like, oh my God, I know. And they're probably thinking, okay, it's his birthday next month. Okay, I got to give him a blowjob. It's his birthday. Okay, 3 more weeks till his birthday. I got to give him a blowjob. Oh my God, tomorrow's his birthday. Oh my God. Oh my God, today's his birthday. I got to give him a blowjob. And the guy knows she doesn't like it, so he doesn't want to ask her for the blowjobs because a normal guy, and I'm saying normal, like emotionally healthy, he doesn't want a blowjob from a woman who hates it. I wouldn't want a guy going down on me if I know he hates it. Like, no, it doesn't feel good. Stop. So these women who lost their libido, they don't care. They're still in the relationship. And so I think some of these men are on the dating apps for the friendship or the relationship, or maybe they can have a fun buddy to hang out with. I don't even know. Maybe they're on there because they're secretly gay, and that way they can tell everyone they're on a dating app. Maybe that's a cover for their actually being gay. Is that a possibility? Because I will tell you, some of these guys do not want to meet. I'm going to give you an example. Now, this guy I think could have been married, but it was a few years ago and I was on Match. And this guy was like a former officer in the Navy, like way up high in the Navy. And he lived in San Diego. And I'm not really into Navy guys per se, but I'm just mentioning that as, he wasn't like some loser. He had some accomplishments in his life. And I told him that I really just want to meet people, but I'm willing to have a 15-minute phone call. And so we talked on the phone and he was going on and on about himself, on and on and on. I don't even think I said anything. So then around the 10 or 12-minute mark, he goes, we should get off the phone. I don't want to violate your boundaries with this 15-minute phone call limit that you have. And I'm like, okay, great, let's get off the phone. He didn't ask me out, which I found odd. Like he just wanted to talk on the phone. So then I start making dinner and just making dinner. And 2 hours later, I get a text from this guy. I think I'd given him my number. I don't know if it was on the app or if I'd given him my number. And I thought, oh, he's texting me to set up a date. Because I'm on there just to meet people. I don't want to talk on the phone. I don't want to do a video call. I don't want to text you forever. Just let's do 2 texts and let's set a date, okay? So he texts me, and what did the text say? What do you think his text said? His text asked me if I was up for another phone call. That's these older guys who have no libido, that he didn't even want to get together with the chance of maybe getting to fuck me. That's how lame these older guys can get. And frankly, if a guy doesn't want to fuck me, and if he has trouble with his dick, at this point in my life, I'm not interested. It's a turn off. I like to fuck. I very much like to fuck. Not just anyone watching this video. If you come on to me like that, I will just block you. I'm not here looking for guys to fuck me, obviously. This is a video of me sharing at this point in my life where I'm 64. I still enjoy intercourse. I enjoy men. I enjoy a man who knows how to handle me in bed very sensually, and um, who appreciates me and is respectful. Okay, so anyone saying, "Hey, I'll fuck you," is not respectful and would just be blocked. That would be a turnoff to me. So, because I still enjoy fucking, I'm still interested in men. Once women lose interest in fucking, they lose interest in men. Now they want to travel with their girlfriends and they want to hang out with their grandkids, and they lost all interest in dating. So, this is what I think people have to be aware of with older people on the apps. They don't like sex anymore, because any man with a libido would jump at the chance to have an in-person date with an attractive woman like my friend. And I call them old fogies, because a man who lost interest in fucking to me is useless. Useless. Okay? Now, I know this sounds very harsh. I know you're all valuable as humans, but once you lose interest in fucking, you're useless to me. Okay? That's just how I feel at this point in my life. Now, when I'm 90 years old and I no longer like fucking, you will be very useful, because now we'll be on the same wavelength. And then guys who want to fuck me will be useless to me. So I don't mean any disrespect to men who don't have that. And by the way, I think that erectile dysfunction comes from poor health, particularly clogged arteries, because the penis has to fill the penis has all these. I really need to learn more about biology. It has to fill with a lot of things. I think there's nitrous oxide involved. There's small capillaries and arteries. It has to engorge, okay? It has to, the man has to be aroused, but also has to be physically working. So men who are on a lot of medications because of their poor health, or because they have a large prostate, just because they're older, are going to struggle with their erections, because they take the prostate medication or blood pressure medication, and all these medications interfere with their erections. And also, if they have eaten poorly and not exercised, they might have low testosterone, they might have clogged arteries that will also eventually lead to strokes and heart attacks. And the penis is your first indicator. If your penis isn't working, I think it's an indicator of poor health. I would be very concerned if I were a man and my penis wasn't working, not just because it would make me feel less manly, but I would be like, that's a sign of poor health. I think that when men's penises don't get hard anymore, they have clogged arteries, because, and sugar is the worst thing for arteries, by the way. So guys, you should cut back on the sugar if you want your dick to work. This is what I think. This is not medical advice. I'm not a doctor, but this whole thing about the cholesterol, we need cholesterol. Our bodies, our brain is made of cholesterol. We need a lot of cholesterol. So when people get clogged arteries, they blame the cholesterol instead of, why is that cholesterol getting stuck in your arteries? Why isn't your body processing the cholesterol? And it's fatty liver disease and sugar. This is something that I've researched, because I have very high cholesterol and I do not take anything for it. I refuse. And when I looked into it, there are a lot of YouTube videos about this with various doctors talking about a different way to look at this whole cholesterol thing. And of course, all the carnivores have very high cholesterol too. I'm not a carnivore. I don't eat meat. I hate it. It's very gross to me. I don't mean to turn you off. If you like meat, that's totally fine. I'm not going to judge you. We all have to eat what we like. But the point I was trying to make is that sugar is the culprit in these clogged arteries, according to some train of thought. And anyway, clogged arteries in your penis are going to lead to erectile dysfunction. That's what I'm trying to get to. And as a woman, we also have issues as we get older. I mean, You know, it can be hip issues, it can be dry vaginas, but for women, that's easier to fix with some estriadol cream, which I do use, and that has been very helpful because I do not need lube for intercourse at all. If the guy is very sensual and passionate with me, I do not need lube for intercourse ever since I start using this estradiol cream, which is inserted in the vagina twice a week at bedtime, just 1 gram. You just put it on the inside wall of the outer part of the vagina with your finger. Don't use the applicator because it goes too deep, way up. But anyway, this is not medical advice, but I'm just telling you what I found. And to me, my libido is very important to me, as is my ability to get a good night's sleep and to want to exercise and to be enthusiastic about greeting the day and to be in a I live my day in a generally good mood level. It's extremely rare that I'm sad. The only things that would make me sad is these guys that were blowing me off, and I'm not trying to date, so I'm not sad. Sometimes I might feel tired, I might feel hungry. I get these little snippets of feeling annoyed, but I generally feel good. And my libido, wanting to exercise, wanting to be outdoors, these are all indicators to me of health. And when men lose their libido, I think that they're lacking something very vital that's part of the human experience. It's just a turnoff. And what would I do with the man who doesn't want to fuck me? He would be useless. And that's the problem with those old fogies on the dating apps. They don't want to fuck. And so there's the sweet spot. You know, the ideal guy to date is a guy who loves to fuck and he knows how to talk to a woman. He's not starting out with, hey, are you going to spend the night? Hey, what's your favorite position? You know, this is the guy that's the real catch. He understands women. He still has a libido. He knows how to talk to a woman. He gets it. These are the guys that are the actual prize. And these guys that are over 60 like this, they're usually married. They're usually married. Of course, there are a lot of men who lost their libido who are married too. I mean, there are a lot of women who are suffering from guys who don't want to fuck them because the guy has no libido at all or he's clumsy in bed. But to me, at this point in my life, you know, sex is a very important part of a relationship. When I was younger, there were other parts that were important. And that's how you end up with people who say, well, I married this woman who doesn't like sex, never liked sex, but there's so much more to a relationship than sex. Well, at this point in my life, sex would be the most important thing. I mean, I would have to like the guy, but I definitely want to have good sex. I will never again at this time in my life. At this time in my life, I would not date some guy where the sex is mediocre or non-existent or his penis doesn't work. And the problem with the guy's penis not working is he doesn't even want to leave the house to meet you because then why is he on the app? This is what I really want to know. Why are people on the app that don't want to meet? And by the way, when I was on the apps like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and I was looking for hookups, you would not believe how many guys I matched with that never even responded to me, never wanted to meet. And even guys that scheduled dates with me where they asked me out to a certain place, I didn't even ask. And then they would cancel. At least they would cancel and not no show. Or guys that would just start talking to me and not ask me out. I remember this one guy where I finally said, you know, I really like a guy to ask me out. And he said, yeah, I can see that. Like, you got no energy. Now you're just a limp wash rack. Get the fuck out of here. I was so repulsed by that weak. I expect a man to have, like, I'm just used to men who want to move things forward. That's what I'm used to. Like, from my younger years for sure. You know, they want to go out, they want to get to know me, they want to meet up. And when I get this, like, I don't even want to engage in a conversation, I don't want to respond, I don't want to meet up. It's just like, now you're just like a slime ball. Like, you're slimy, like a, what is the thing? You're just like like a worm. This is the best way to describe it because you have depletion energy and it's repulsive. You know, I want a man who's like full of energy and joy and passion and wants to do things, you know, like bringing it forward like a man. That's what I like. And some of these old fogies are not doing that. They don't want to even leave their fucking house. And that's a lot of what my friend is getting on the dating app. I just feel so disenchanted for her. I do not even know if there's any hope for her. I told her to go younger, so I think she's going to go down into the 50s now. But she likes men that are a little bit older. But there's a problem with those guys. You know, they have issues. They're too old. Sorry. If there are any guys on here who are over 70 and single and still like sex and are dating, I want to hear from you what your experience is with women. Um, just curious to hear the other side. You probably are dealing with women who lost their libido. Once a woman loses her libido, she's just looking for a buddy, you know. And there's no fun. What fun is that? Sex is fun. We should be having sex. It's fun. Anyway, thanks for watching my video.